Welcome back. So this lesson I kind of just want to wrap up on the building, the implementation of the core that we've done so far. We have focused on implementing the service now, and of course that kind of ended up in a couple of interfaces like the service interface and the repository interface right here, and also it ended up with an entity. So we kind of set up the center of our application when we're talking about the clean architecture, and that has even been test driven. So we've done test driven development for every single line of code we've done. And that's pretty amazing to kind of work like that. And it's given us a lot of things, like we made sure, if we go into our code right here, we made sure that we had business logic implemented, so that when we got into a location service, we actually added a validator that made sure right here when we call the create that we actually go in and validate everything. And right now these are the validations. You can just add more. But of course, that's kind of a security that the data we're getting is okay. So we made that. Another thing we made was we made sure that whenever we actually call the create, we made sure that we first call the default validator, and then we kind of made sure that we called the add function. So we kind of also tested the flow, and we also did that test driven. Neat. So this create method is already pretty well tested. We can do some other corner cases, but let's just keep it like this for now. So I kind of feel that the core for the create function is now ready to kind of run in production. So I want to move on and start talking about some more things, right? Because it's not enough to kind of have an interface right here. Notice right now we have this iLocation repository interface, but we haven't implemented it yet. So we don't know actually how right now we're going to save our data into some kind of data store. And that's going to be the next step. So for the next series, I'm going to focus on actually doing test-driven development for a new area. Right now you'll notice we have the infrastructure port repository right here, and that's the interface. And notice there's an add function right here. Now what we want to do is we want to dive into the area down here for the infrastructure adapters now, and there we want to now add an implementation class for this add function right here. I'm going to use DB context, but we'll dive more into that in the next series. But I just kind of want to give you guys an overview. So I already prepared a small test that we're going to work with. And yes, we're going to do a test driven, as I just said. So let's have some fun in the next series. So what are we actually going to work with right here? Again, if we go to the first diagram I did, we kind of done with this area right now. I feel that's okay now. We did test-driven development and unit testing for this area. So now the web API can call something on the iService that's going to call to the repository, and that repository is now, we need to figure out how we can actually, with implementation, communicate with a database, right? And we're going to do it test-driven, and then we're going to try later on, not right now, to do integration testing, because integration testing is just slower. So that's why I want to start up with test-driven development. That's just faster to do. So that's it for this lesson. Next time, as I said, we're going to switch up and we're going to start looking into a new area, which is going to be the infrastructure implementation area for a repository. See you next time. Have fun.